Welcome to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast, the show where we shine a light on the incredible businesses, community leaders, and local legends that are shaping our town. I'm your host, James O'Donnell, and today we are joined by local business owner MARNI COCHRANE, the clinic director at MARNI COCHRANE Physiotherapy. MARNI, great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been a long journey, and I'm glad I'm here.
The biggest diva I've had so far about getting on the podcast is easily.
Not at all.
MARNI, for those of us who don't know you yet, who are you and what do you do here in Bishop Stortford?
So I am a physiotherapist. I've been qualified for 16 years, spent most of my career in London, moved to Stortford about 5 years ago and been working in London, but just started the clinic 2 years ago in Stortford. I see lots of different aches and pains all over the body, but also specialise in women's and men's health, so pelvic health issues.
We'll get into that a bit later on. What was the spark for starting your own clinic?
I think I've always wanted to start my own clinic, and I've just possibly been a little apprehensive to do that. And I think in London, I didn't know if I was going to stay there for a long period of time, but now I know this is my home. And I wanted to start growing a clinic that I really believed in. I wanted patients to get the best possible care. And sometimes you're limited by the places you work. And I wanted to make sure that my ethos was going into everything I did in the clinic. So making sure that my patients are as well looked after as they possibly can and giving them the best clinically up-to-date evidenced physiotherapy. And being in another person's clinic, sometimes that's harder to do. So having my own thing, growing it as I want, was the most important thing for me.
I want to give a shout out to a brilliant local business making life better right here in Bishop Stortford. If you've ever felt bored or awkward or unmotivated at the gym, well, you're not alone. Getting fit should feel fun. That's what I love about Vida Wellness Club. Besides yoga, Pilates, they also run friendly, energizing dance sessions like Zumba, Zumba Gold, Broadway Boogie that actually make you want to move. You can book a free session now at vidawellnessclub.com and let them know that the podcast sent you. No pressure, just great vibes and a stronger you. Support your fitness and support local. Right, back to the show. Awesome. I think that there must be lots of people that feel that where they're working, they're a little bit constricted, but it takes some courage to go out and start on your own. 2 years in, how's it going?
Yeah. Really good. Growing from half a day a week to now being 3.5, 4 days a week. I wish I could do more, but I've got 2 kids, so that's enough. I've taken on 2 other members of staff and they're amazing. So hoping to grow the clinic and just make it as amazing and as big and as encompassing as possible. So really well.
Awesome. So you mentioned a couple of specialities there. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So, generic MSK physiotherapy could be anything between kind of like shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, could be from sitting on your bottom all day at work and not moving as much to kind of your more, semi-elite athletes. So you could be in local rugby teams, cricket teams that have pain, or you could just possibly be a menopausal lady who wants to get back into exercise after not having done it for a while. So it could be any aches and pains anywhere in the body, man or female. But since I've had my kids, so over the last 9 years, I've been doing more women's health and more recently men's health. So that would be anything kind of to do with the pelvic area, pre and postnatal, menopausal, and more recently been working with guys who potentially have stress urinary incontinence, chronic pelvic pain, pre and post prostate surgery as well. So working a lot with guys to maintain erectile function and making them continent, basically bladder or bowel. So, not a kind of physiotherapy specialism I ever thought I'd go into, but highly rewarding. And there aren't many of me around. There aren't many pelvic health physios out there. So it's a new and emerging specialism. So it's interesting and really good fun.
Okay. So It sounds a lot of those are going to be referrals that you might get for people that, have had an symptom, have gone to a GP, and then might get referred to you. Is there something that those of us out there might be able to kind of keep an eye out for, so kind of particular warning signs that it might be worth a while getting in and talking to you earlier?
Absolutely. And I think, we have men and women have real difficulty sometimes knowing that these symptoms aren't normal, for example. Like, a lot of postnatal women might think it's normal to pee themselves after having a baby, and it's not. So it's about kind of knowing what's right and what's wrong. And I don't think we talk about it enough in society to kind of, know what's normal, especially, I don't know, maybe guys might find it more difficult to talk about it than women.
Can't think of a natural segue that you get into that kind of subject to conversation, unless you can think of one, and then we can start
Well, I
talking
think
about it better.
certainly women, certainly within that postnatal phase, they might go out with their NCT friends and talk about, accidents they might be happening. And then I think as women, we can kind of talk about things like that together. But guys, possibly when it comes to erectile dysfunction, it's going to be a harder conversation to have with mates in the pub, possibly. But yeah, I think noticing anything, certainly from a pain perspective, we shouldn't be in pain. We shouldn't be living in pain. I think there's so much information out there at the moment on Instagram and, do this one exercise and it'll be a quick fix, or, take these pills, take these supplements. And I think that there's so much information, it can become very overwhelming. And I think coming in to see a physiotherapist to talk about aches, pains, joints, tendons, muscles, bone, we can kind of start you on that process. If we feel like you need physiotherapy, you stay with us. If we feel like you might need more specialist care, then I certainly have the network to be able to send you to those other people, because I've grown an amazing network of orthopedic consultants or urologists whilst working in London. So I can send you out to those people. If it's not in my scope, I will send you out. I'm not somebody just to keep patients to myself and hope things will get better. But yeah, and I think, certainly with the bladder and the bowel problems, if you're not happy, if you don't think it's right, then listen to your gut. Go and speak to your GP. Yes, you can Google things. I think it's sometimes scary to Google things sometimes. But if you're not happy, go and speak to your GP. Or if you have any bladder or bowel issues, any sexual pain, any dysfunction that you don't think is normal in and around that pelvic area, then it's generally something that a pelvic health physiotherapist can help you manage, or send you on the pathway of somebody else who can manage it for you.
Fantastic. Is there anything that we can do to mitigate that, to put that conversation off a little bit? Any kind of at-home exercises that you can describe to our listeners?
I'll be here all day. You know
really?
me. I've got a plethora of exercises. Listen, movement is key. And, many physiotherapists over the years are very exercise rehab based physiotherapists. And I'm one of those. I really like rehab and movement and strength as an exercise program. I think people come in pain and they're petrified to move. And it's about getting them moving and getting them stronger and understanding that their pain and moving isn't going to cause them any worsening symptoms. So keeping fit, trying to remain active as much as possible. People come in and say, I've been walking. And in my mind, walking isn't an exercise. Walking is getting from A to B. It's like just moving. You need to be doing mindful exercise. If you're bendy, then maybe you want to strengthen more. If you're stiff, you probably want to mobilize more. Gone are the days that you come into gone are the days you come into a physiotherapist and they go click, click, needle, crack on. You want possibly a level of that, but then I want you to move. I want you to squat. I want you to lunge. I want you to step up and down. I want you to be able to get into a deep squat to pick your kid up. I want you to move into the cot to pick your kid up. So it's about functional rehab. And that is where, I think we need to, as physios, improve. And they're the kind of things that we want to be helping to mitigate you coming in to see me in the first place.
Fantastic. So it sounds like it's much more holistic as an approach. It's not, as you say, just come in. I expect some people probably come in and go, well, you need to fix me in this session. But there's actually, a lot more to it than that. There's the exercise element of things, which some people are going to be quite lazy about or not as interested in.
Yes. I mean, there is very much I've had chronic back pain for 10 years and can you get me better in one session? Like, no. I'll be very clear. And some people find that, it's just impossible. And it's about kind of understanding, possibly not understanding what happened in the first place, but you've got to unpack 10 years worth of history. It's a weakness, not wanting to move in a certain way, being fearful, being scared, or, my parents have had a bad back forever. Will I have one? Trying to unpick all of that, goes into the psychology of pain. And that is a whole other, ball game. It's not just a quick fix. It very rarely is a quick fix because there's so much deep-rooted fear and anxiety, possibly of pain and movement. So I think, I would say half of physio is 50% psychology and the rest is getting you moving.
I totally agree. It's like, you could be hearing the same messages from lots of different sources, but if you find someone that reaches you, that you actually listen to and actually you go, oh yeah, people have been saying this to me for years, I better actually do it. If you've got the right voice and you deliver it in the right kind of way, wearing the right polo shirt, fantastic. It's gonna have an impact, which is great. So speaking of the shirt, MARNI COCHRANE Physiotherapy, you said you've got a couple of extra people under the roof now. What kind of extra support are they able to deliver within the practice?
Well, it keeps the practice open for longer because they can do longer sessions. So it means that we've now got 3 evenings a week. So those we get a lot of, school kids here. So we're seeing them after school. And a lot of people now back in London who they're coming back and they can then be seen after work. I think since COVID, everything changed. People like to be seen closer to where they live rather than possibly where they work, which would be, say, majority from here, London. And they like to come back to physiotherapy, or they might have the odd days that they work at home that they can fit in with us. So having somebody can allow me to have more sessions available. We can get an emergency appointments, generally the next day, if not on the day. So that allows that. But also one of the ladies I have working with me, Kate, at the moment, she's got real experience in clinical Pilates. So she's a physio with Pilates, which is amazing. So she looks at possibly I might see my patients and get them to a certain level, and I want Kate to continue with their mobility. So that's great. And then I've got Matt at the moment who's doing a lot more sports specific, return to play, rugby, cricket, which are his sports, but at kind of a more sports science level. So lots more data, lots more muscle testing and things like that. So we all have our scope as physiotherapists. We're not a, jack of all trades, master of none, so but it's important to know where your scope lies. If you feel like possibly they might need a bit more return to play, I'll send them on to Matt. If they, for example, want more holistic rehab, Pilates, movement, core strength, possibly I'd send them on to Kate. So that's what having those networks and those relationships is so important, because I can keep my patients close and make sure they're getting the best possible care and not going out to somebody else who I don't know as well.
Makes perfect sense. What are you working on right now that you're most excited about, MARNI?
Well, I have invested in a very expensive piece of equipment called the LymphoTouch, which is for scar tissue therapy. And that came off the back of me seeing a lot more C-sections. So the LymphoTouch is a negative pressure scar tissue machine. And if you're thinking about a massage, if you're massaging somebody, you're kind of pushing down into the skin. The LymphoTouch is a product that lifts the skin. So it helps with scar adhesions, and it can help certainly in those early stages of scars, any scars. So your post-knee, your post-hip, possibly not your back surgeries, they don't scar so much with shoulders, things like that, or anyone who's had an old scar, we can make it become less tight. And the reason why we don't want a tight scar is because it affects how your fascia and your muscles and your body's moving sometimes, and it can give us numbness and pain. So I've got this lovely piece of kit, and I've already done the training, but we've got specific training next weekend, and I'm getting Matt and Kate to do that as well. So wanting to get more scar patients in. That's exciting.
That's good. And it's good for people to know that even exists. I didn't know that existed before I saw it on your socials. So, that's gonna be an incredible piece of kit you got there, Marnie.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for some Stortford Spotlight questions now, Marnie?
I am. Go for it.
Today's podcast is brought to you by a great local business helping people take back their time in Bishop Stortford. If your weekends are getting swallowed by cleaning instead of time with your family, I get it. As a dad of 2 young boys, I know how fast those moments can go, and I've been let down by cleaners before. That's why I use Time For You Cleaning. They're reliable, friendly, and give you one less thing to worry about. If you want your time back, head to timeforyou.cleaning and let them know the podcast sent you. Get back your precious time and support local. Right, back to the show. Awesome. These are 3 fast questions that we asked every guest that comes on to the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast. First question. If you could put one sentence on a billboard above Jackson Square, what would it say, and who needs to read it the most?
I would say it is not normal to pee your pants. Now, men and women, okay? At any age, at any stage of one's life, there are certain parts of one's life, for example, postnatally, possibly menopausally, post-surgical for guys, that might happen. But it's not normal. And the evidence is highly suggestive that physiotherapy works. So don't accept it as normal. Do something about it. You won't, unfortunately, have as much support within the NHS because there aren't many of us. So you may get an appointment, but you might have to specifically ask for it, and it might be a very long wait. So, and it's never too late, never, ever too late to start.
Well, hopefully just by talking about that now, someone listening might want to get in contact, but also, hopefully the reach is going to be so much more that you might know someone who might need that conversation.
1/3 of women postnatally will leak. So you will know somebody who does. You just don't talk about it, or it's normalized, or go and buy a tenner lady pad. Normalize it. Let's normalize it. Let's think it's normal. It's not normal. I get very angry about things like that.
I love the passion, Marnie. We that's it's good that there's someone in Stortford doing these things that can support. It's great. Okay. Where do you go in Stortford that you secretly hope never gets too popular?
So I love Paisà. Now, the reason I do is because my husband is half Italian, so we do have the Italian link. But they do a really good select spritz, which, after having gone to Venice and finding what select is, it's basically like a between an Aperol and Campari, and with Prosecco. And they normally put a little olive on it. So it's a Venetian nostalgic spritz for me.
Sounds fantastic.
Very much, my passion is very much around kind of food. So yeah, food and a bit of spritz. Yes.
Fantastic. What a great recommendation. And with the olive in it as well. That's really interesting. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, do.
Thank you. And third question, who's doing something special in town that more people need to know about?
Now, can I do 2? Diva and me.
Diva, Marnie. Go for it.
Very quickly. First of all, AbFab, which I joined myself in January, and it is a female-only gym, and it's amazing. It is the most supportive gym environment I've ever been in, and so much so that I'm going there myself, but also they've got a really great mums and bubs class. So women can go and take baby with them 3 times a week. I think it's actually, for what it is, it's great value, really nice, supportive community. Love it. They do loads of events throughout the years to support each other, and I love it. It is not any ages, but it is for the woman that often would feel possibly more self-conscious about going to a generic gym. So I think for those who struggle a little bit more, going to a gym, there's no mirrors, is great. Second thing, Kate, my physio, is currently starting a Pilates class on a Monday morning. I'm plugging her, but she's an amazing physiotherapist, and we need more of that in Stortford. People that I very happily send to her and trust her with rehab. So there's two.
Awesome. We'll link to both of those in the show notes so that after your rousing recommendations, if anybody's listening and wants to get involved, they can. Where's the best place for people to find out about you online, Marnie?
Well, on my website, www.marnicochrane.com. My website is currently getting rejigged, so it should be all sparkly and new soon. And they can have a look at what I do. They can have a look at me. They can have a look at Matt and Kate, and then they can book online. So it's a great booking system. You just have to go top right-hand corner and you can book online now. So it's generally working. If it doesn't, then you can just give me a bell. All my details are on there. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and any, phone me, email me, no problems.
Wonderful. The Instagram is well worth a follow. It's quite different to other content that you might see online from PTs and physios out there. Trust me. Marnie, that's a wrap. Thanks today for joining us on the Bishop Stortford Community Podcast.
Pleasure. Thank you.
No worries. And if you're still listening and you enjoyed this episode with Marnie, the best way to support the show is to hit follow. Leave a quick review on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're watching or listening, and share it on your socials. Share it with someone in town. Share it with someone who might not be listening to podcasts, who might not be on social media. You never know, they might need Marnie's specific skills. And if you've got a local legend, someone just like Marnie, who you think we should feature next, drop me a message or tag them in the comments below so we can share their story and shine the light on the work that they're doing here in Bishop Stortford. That's it from me. Go and support something local today in your town. Have a great day. Bye. If you run a business built on trust, but your website's full of stock photos and silence, we need to talk. True Tone Testimonials helps coaches, consultants, and other service providers turn real client stories into high-converting video content. No scripts, no fluff, just honest words from real people who already love what you do. They're professionally filmed and ready to drop onto your site or into your socials. Head to truetonetestimonials.card.co. Let your clients do the selling. Okay, support local. Let's get back to the show.